Buenas tardes, año 6. Good afternoon, year 6. I hope that you're all keeping safe and keeping well, and that you've had an enjoyable week so far of online learning or learning in school if you've been in school. Today's Spanish lesson is actually more of a skills lesson that I really hope will help you whatever language you go on to study at high school, because one of the exciting things about year 7 is you might get to start learning French or German, maybe you'll keep up with Spanish or even start a different language altogether. And a skill that you will need, it doesn't matter which language you're studying, is to be able to use a dictionary efficiently. So that means being able to find what words you need quickly and accurately. So I know that in school we've done some work before using these little mini dictionaries. So we're really going to build upon that so that you've got some additional skills that will help you out whatever language that you study. So on the screen here, I've just put this as something to make you laugh a little bit, try to recreate the classroom a little bit. So I've got a child saying, "Señorita Shah, how do you say bubble in Spanish?" And I know some children think I am a walking dictionary, but I am not. And usually if somebody asks me a question like that, I might say, especially an older pupil like you guys, I would say, here's something that might help you. And I would probably... But before we do anything else, I want to shout out to these children who sent in their work on telling the time in Spanish, and they are Miria, Tatsam, Danush, Branavan and Arashan. So well done again, and I hope there'll be a few more for my shout outs next week. Right, let's move on. So a reminder, no lo olvides is the Spanish way of saying please don't forget. And that is in reference to sending in your work to spanish@grange.harrow.sch.uk, and remember you'll get a shout out and some class chat points if you do that. Okay, lo que necesitas para esta sesión. What you'll need for this lesson: unas hojas de papel, so some sheets of paper, un lápiz, a pencil, or un boli, a pen, una regla, a ruler, unos rotuladores, these are felt tips, or lápices de color, colouring pencils. So the sort of end activity of the lesson, you will need different colours to show different types of words. Also, as our focus is on the dictionary, I know most children won't have a Spanish dictionary at home, but if you do, that would be great. And the alternative is a mobile phone or a laptop, desktop computer, so that you can use the online dictionary that I'm going to show you. Okay, so pause the video, go and get all those things that you need. So, at the top there, ¿cuál es la fecha de hoy? What's the date today? Can you fill in the gaps for me? So I'm going to start reading it out and see if you can fill in the gap as I stop, just saying the words out aloud. Viernes, el. Now for the first gap, you will need the Spanish word for the number, the date, okay? So that is going to be the 12th. So have a think. Muy bien, 12 de, and then we have the month, so we are now in June. Does anybody remember? Perfecto, it's junio. Remember this, the J at the beginning has a H sound in Spanish. And then our learning intention is to develop use of a bilingual dictionary. So whilst I'm reading through the success criteria, can you please copy down the date and fill in the gaps and also the learning intention. Success criteria. I can find out what Spanish words mean in English. I can find out how to say English words in Spanish. I can use the correct entry in a dictionary, that's like the book, or an online dictionary. So pause the video if you need any more time. Okay, before we go on to our dictionary work, let's do some retrieval practice because it was a long time ago this lesson. Even if you didn't complete that lesson, see if you can have a try because I'm going to show you the answers anyway on the next slide at answering these questions. So, ¿qué hora es? Remember, is what's the time? So what do these sentences mean in English? Son las dos. Son las 7:30. Son las 10:15. Son las 8:45. So pause the video, write down what you think those sentences mean. You can write it just in numbers or you can write it out in words. Excelente. Now this is a little bit more tricky, but use what's already on the screen to help you. How would we say these times in Spanish? 12 o'clock, 10:30, 3:15, or 9:45. Don't worry too much about the AM and the PM, okay? So pause the video, have a go at those, and then we're going to go through the answers on the next slide. Okay, so son las dos means it's 2 o'clock. Son las 7:30, it's 7:30. Son las 10:15, it's 10:15. Son las 8:45, it's 7:45. So remember, cuarto means quarter, okay? Menos means less than or minus, and means and. How would we say these times in Spanish? So the first one was son las 12, 12 o'clock. The second one was son las 10:30, 10:30. Son las 3:15, 3:15. Son las 10:45 is 9:45 or 9:45. So if you wrote any of those in a slightly different way, for example, you might have written 3:15, son las 3:15. You might have written it son las 3:15, it's 3:15. Then that's okay too, but I do want you to try and remember those words media, half, and cuarto, quarter. Okay, well done everybody. Let's move on. Now, my first tip to you, as I've said before, is to use the correct side of the dictionary, because a bilingual dictionary has two parts to it really, okay, two halves. So unlike the dictionaries that you might use in an English lesson, the bilingual dictionary, hopefully you can see that, is split in half by a line down the middle, usually a thick kind of greyish coloured line, and that separates the Spanish to English part from the English to Spanish part. So it says up there, the Spanish-English side comes first, followed by the English to Spanish. At the side of the page, you'll see a tab with either Spanish to English or English to Spanish. So you'll know immediately if you're looking up the side that you need to be looking up in. And the good thing is, as you get older and you go into high school, the dictionaries will start to get a bit bigger, the words are a bit more clear, you often get different colours used for the different languages, so I think it actually gets a bit more straightforward, okay? So my question is, which side of the dictionary would you look up to translate the Spanish word la bicicleta? Excelente. You would use the first half, the Spanish to English half. And some of you have probably worked it out. It means bicycle, okay? And even if you don't have a dictionary at home, the same principle applies when you're using an online dictionary. You need to set the languages the correct way. So I'm going to show you a website called wordreference.com, and we're just going to have a little practice at using it. So there's a video clip coming up. It's not very clear, but hopefully it's clear enough for you to get the idea. Okay, so I'm on the wordreference.com website, and remember our task is to find the Spanish word for bubble. So down here, this is where it's important to make sure that we've got the right setting. So English to Spanish is what we need, but if you press on the arrow, you will get other options as well, okay? But for us, this is the one we need. So just type in bubble. And there we have. We just scroll down and I'll just zoom in a little bit. So it says Inglés, English, Español, burbuja. Okay, so I'm looking over here. And that NF, what do you think that means? Well done. Noun, feminine. Okay. And then we've got, if we click on burbuja, we've got different explanations of sentences where it's been included. Okay, so my second important tip for you is make sure you look at the right entry. An entry is made up of a word, its translations, and often example phrases to show you how to use the translations. If there's more than one entry for the same word, then there's a note to tell you so. Look at the following example entries. Now, firstly, I know these pictures are not terribly clear, but I wanted to give you an idea of how to find the correct form of the word that you need. So, if you had to look up the word flat, okay, in the paper dictionary, you would see something that looks like the picture on the left of your screen. And if you looked it up on wordreference.com, you'd see what you see on the right-hand side. And what you have to be careful of is that you use the correct form of the word. So for example, if I wanted to translate the word flat, I need to be clear on whether I'm talking about flat as a noun, like a flat that I live in, or if I'm using the adjective and I want to describe my car that has a flat tire, or my pancake that is flat, for example. Okay, so if you look where the green arrow is, it says flat, noun, piso. So that's the one I'd use if I wanted to say that I live in a flat. Vivo en un piso. But my sentence that I really want to translate is my car has a flat tire. So let's have a look at the word reference picture here. Now I've got flat, adjective, and then it says level, plano or llano. Now those I might use if I'm talking about my flat pancake. But if I go further down and I look here, it says flat, adg, adjective, deflated. And those are the words that I would need if I'm talking about my car with a flat tire. Okay, so the takeaway message is just be careful that when you look up a word in the dictionary, that you look at the whole list that's given to you. Okay, and often they give you all these example phrases to help you out even more. And dictionaries get bigger and bigger as you go through high school and beyond. And so you get even more help, basically. Okay, so that was my second tip. Hopefully that's clear. If it's not, please email me and I will help and try and explain it in a different way. So your first challenge is find the Spanish way to say these words, or really to write these words. The first tip is put them in alphabetical order because they all begin with M. So what do you need to do? You need to look at the second letter. Mine are not currently in alphabetical order, and these are words to do with time, our previous topic. Okay, so minute, midday, and midnight. So be careful because minute can also be read as minute. So when you look that one up in the dictionary, be clear that you find the one for the time. Okay, it's a measurement of time, isn't it? A minute. Then your second part of challenge 1 is find out what these words mean in English. Menos, más, and mientras. So again, probably useful to put those in alphabetical order. So pause the video here, take your time and write down your answers for what you find from whichever online dictionary you choose to use. Okay? Right, the second challenge is a little bit harder, but I think using everything that you know already, you should be able to complete the table, the gaps in the table. So I've done an example at the top. I've written amistad, so that's the word. The type of word is what we call a word class, okay? So friendship is what amistad means. It's a noun. Its gender is feminine because it's la amistad. And when you look it up in the dictionary, it will say amistad, noun, feminine, or NF, and it will tell you that it means friendship, okay? So for the second one, the word book, so a book that you would read or the book that you might write in, I want you to look that up. Tell me what gender it is. Is it masculine or is it feminine? And then write in the final column what the Spanish word or words would be, because there are different words for books that you read and write. Okay. Then the next one is to book. So, for example, if you had to book a flight somewhere, or you had to book a table at a restaurant. So that's where you need to look for the verb. So you don't need to fill in column 3 because verbs don't have a gender. You just have to fill in column 4 for that one. Also the same thing for to like, the verb. So just filling in column 4. Then I've put the word likely. What kind of word is likely? Well done. A lot of the time, not always, but ly words are adverbs. So I've kind of given you the gap for the second column, but I want you to go and find out how to say that in Spanish. And the last one there, like, can also be a preposition. So maybe if I said, what's the weather like? Okay, so I want you to look in your dictionary carefully to find out how you would say like when it's a preposition or perhaps even a conjunction. So pause the video and get that done. And there's one final challenge coming up. Okay, now I wanted to give you a task that was a little bit creative, something that can be personal to you and involve a little bit of art. Okay, so I've said there, challenge 3, think of something that you love to do as a hobby or perhaps your favourite subject in school. So I thought of my favourite sport, which is tennis, and I'm going to show you an example in a minute. Once you've thought of your hobby or your subject, make a list of words associated, so to do with whatever you have chosen, and you need to do that in English first. This is important. Ensure you have a mix of nouns, adjectives, verbs, adverbs, etc. Okay? Then you're going to draw a shape that goes with whatever you've chosen, and then you're going to look up the Spanish words you've chosen, make a list, and then fill in the shape. So that might sound a bit complicated, but hopefully seeing my example on the next slide will make it easier. Okay? So, me encanta el tenis. I love tennis. Is the title of my piece of work. My list of words on the left of your screen, I've divided up by colour and by word class, okay? So I thought of a few nouns, a few adjectives, a few verbs, and a few adverbs that go with my topic. You don't have to do as many as me. You can do more, you can do less. You can try and use other word classes if you want even more of a challenge. Once you have got your list in English, you then need to look up how to say those words in Spanish, okay, using all those dictionary skills that we've been working on. And then the last step is to put your words into different colours and insert them into your shape, a shape that goes with your topic. Now you can do this on the computer and email it to me, or if you prefer to do it by hand and then take a photo of your work, that would be amazing as well. Now I've just filled in what we call the head of the racket, but I could go on and fill in the ball and the handle, etc. Okay, so I really want you to enjoy making something creative. And then once you've done that, remember to send it to me, please. spanish@grange.harrow.sch.uk. I would love, love, love to see your work. Muchas gracias for taking part in the lesson, for listening to me, and thank you in advance for your work. Feliz fin de semana. Have an amazing weekend, Year 6, and I look forward to making your next lesson video. Adiós, hasta luego.